What if everything you knew about Silent Hill was a lie? What if the fog, the monsters, the cult, the radio static, the entire American vibe wasn't the beginning, but the aftermath of something far older, far darker, and rooted in Japanese folklore? Because Silent Hill F doesn't just change the setting, it might have just revealed the origin of the curse. Let's talk timelines. For decades, we thought Silent Hill started with a cursed American town. Cult does a ritual, reality fractures, monsters happen, someone cries in a corner, repeat as necessary. But Silent Hill F drops us into 1960s Japan, royal, isolated, and infected by a strange red fungus that doesn't just kill you, it turns your pain into physical horror. At first glance, it feels like a spinoff, but what if it's not? What if F is the 0 point event? The psychic Hiroshima that birthed every nightmare that came after, and everything from Silent Hill 1 to 4, and even the bad ones we pretend didn't happen, are just the ripples. Here's the weird part. Even with the culture shift, Silent Hill F feels like Silent Hill. You've got a deeply personal, emotional horrorcore, reality warping based on trauma, creeping psychological delay, and a protagonist who's either haunted, infected, or both. This isn't just body horror, it's emotional horror externalized. In the OG Silent Hill games, trauma manifests as rust, blood, hospitals, and bad nurses. In F, it's flowers that bloom through skin, turning people into haunted garden sculptures. Different aesthetic, same process. Internal pain plus guilt plus isolation equals monsters with meat physics. So if this is the same curse, just wrapped in Japanese folklore instead of Western theology, what is that curse? Let's play a cult epidemiologist for a second. If Silent Hill F is where the curse began, how did it go global? How does a deeply rooted Japanese horror end up haunting a sleepy American town? Well, horror spreads like memes, or mold. Here are your prime infection vectors. Post-World War II occupation. American soldiers stationed in Japan witness rituals disappearing in mountains or coming back home with something wrong. Folklore collectors or anthropologists, the kind who think it's a good idea to steal a cursed scroll from a shrine because it'll look good in the university archive. Immigration and generational trauma, Japanese families relocating to the US carrying with them repossessed memories, heirlooms, or even physical relics from their homeland. Trauma, after all, doesn't need a passport. And then there's the most Silent Hill explanation of all. It doesn't move through people, it moves through pain. Wherever the right kind of emotional wound exists, grief, guilt, isolation, the curse finds a way to grow. It doesn't care where it is, it just needs fertile soil. And buddy, America in the 70s had plenty of that. Let's talk flowers. The red spider lily, Higanbanan, is the visual and symbolic spine of Silent Hill F. In Japanese myth, it blooms near death, funerals, the afterlife. It's literally the hellflower. In F, it's not just symbiotic, it's viral. It infects people, warps reality, and creates a hallucinatory other world that feels disturbingly familiar. You're not walking through rust and blood this time. You're walking through petals and spores. It's the organic version of the industrial nightmare we know from Silent Hill 2, but it's still a place layered on top of reality. A space that reflects personal and cultural drama, a realm ruled by emotion and memory, not physics. In other words, it's the Outer World Beta Edition. So what if these red flowers are the seed from which all other worlds bloom? Literally. If this is true, then Silent Hill isn't haunted because of a cult. It's haunted because the town sits on a spot where the Japanese horror took root. This is where it gets spicy. Konami isn't just rebooting Silent Hill, they're reframing it. Instead of treating every game as a separate spooky adventure, they're building a mythos, like From Software does with Elden Ring and Dark Souls, or what Resident Evil pretends to do, until a boulder gets punched. Silent Hill F might be the start of a soft retcon that says, hey, this horror didn't begin in America, it didn't even begin with Alyssa or the Order. That was just the first time it took on that form, which opens the door for more international horror stories connected by the same curse. cultural reinterpretations of trauma-induced otherworlds, and finally, a reason why Silent Hill feels different in every game, but still has the same emotional core. Konami isn't just making new games, they're planting horror like flowers in a garden. And every new game, another bloom. So let's connect the dots. Silent Hill F shows us the origin of the curse, linked to death, grief, and a viral supernatural force in 1960s Japan. That curse spreads via people, via pain, maybe even via ideas to America. It infects a town. Maybe the town was already vulnerable. Maybe something was already broken there. The cult doesn't create the horror, they misunderstand it. They try to control it, worship it, weaponize it, but it was never about gods or rituals. It was always a psychic fungus feeding on grief. Whether it blooms in flowers or monsters depends on the host. Each Silent Hill game a case study. James Sunderland's guilt manifests as Pyramid Head. Cheryl's fractured identities manifested as Alyssa's nightmare town. The girl in F, her social isolation blooms into body horror so disturbing it makes Junji Ito look like Animal Crossing. And maybe, just maybe, if you trace it all the way back, you find a girl in a quiet village surrounded by red flowers, alone. So if this theory holds up, then Silent Hill didn't start with Alyssa, or James, or some foggy street, and definitely not Maine. It started in Japan. It started with a flower, and everything we thought we knew, all the monsters, the madness, the fog, that wasn't the beginning. It was the consequence. So the next time someone says Silent Hill is back, you hit them with, actually, it never left. It just migrated. Want me to run another franchise next? Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your wildest theories in the comments. Who knows, next time we might find out Resident Evil was just a really intense flu season.